There is a seed that contains more protein than beef, more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk. All 9 essential amino acids in perfect balance. It grows in drought that kills corn, in heat that wilts wheat, in soil so poor nothing else survives. One plant produces over 100,000 seeds. Those seeds fed the largest empire the Americas ever saw. The Aztecs valued it above gold. They demanded it as tribute from conquered nations. Priests offered it to gods in sacred ceremonies. Warriors ate it before battle and marched for days without rest. Then the Spanish arrived. Within 10 years, growing this plant became a crime punishable by death. Your hands could be cut off for cultivating it. Your family could be executed for hiding seeds. 500 years later, the same seed remains virtually unknown in Western supermarkets. Not because it failed, because it succeeded too completely. A crop that produces complete protein without irrigation, fertilizer, or corporate permission cannot be allowed to spread. This is the story of the seed they tried to erase from human memory. Welcome to Recession Roots. Before we dig into this vault, if these roots matter to you, the best way to preserve this knowledge is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share these roots with those who need to remember what we forgot. The story begins in 1492 when Christopher Columbus first encountered a civilization that would reshape European understanding of agriculture. But it was Hernán Cortés who documented what he found when he entered the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan in 1519, a city larger than any in Europe, a population healthier than any Spanish port, markets selling foods the conquistadors had never imagined. Among the goods traded in those markets, one stood above the rest. The Aztecs called it huaytae, the grain of the gods. Each year, the Aztec emperor received over 20,000 tons as tribute from subject peoples. That quantity exceeded the tribute paid in gold, silver, or jade. Huaytae was wealth itself. This is amaranthus, a seed so nutritionally complete that modern scientists struggle to explain how ancient farmers discovered its value without laboratories or microscopes. Archaeological evidence places amaranth cultivation at 7,000 years before present. Seeds recovered from caves in Tehuacan, Mexico, date to 5000 BC. By the time the Aztec Empire rose, amaranth had been feeding Mesoamerican civilizations for over 6 millennia. The Mayans grew it. The Incas cultivated a related species in the Andes. Across 2 continents, separated by mountains and jungle, ancient peoples independently recognized the same truth. This seed sustains human life better than almost any other. The Aztec relationship with amaranth transcended nutrition. Priests mixed the seeds with honey and human blood to form effigies of gods. Warriors consumed these figures before battle, believing they absorbed divine strength. The ceremony was called Panquetzalisli. It represented the most sacred rite in Aztec religion. Hernán Cortés recognized the threat immediately. Amaranth was not just food, it was spiritual infrastructure. A people who fed their bodies and souls with the same crop could not be conquered through starvation alone. Their religion had to be destroyed alongside their agriculture. In 1521, after the fall of Tenochtitlan, Spanish authorities banned amaranth cultivation throughout New Spain. The punishment for growing it was death or amputation. Fields were burned, stored seeds were destroyed, priests who continued the old ceremonies were executed. Within 50 years, a crop that had fed millions for 7,000 years virtually vanished from commercial agriculture. The Spanish replaced amaranth with wheat and barley. European crops that required European farming techniques, European tools, and European seeds purchased from European merchants. Indigenous food sovereignty ended, colonial dependency began, but amaranth refused to die completely. In remote mountain villages of Oaxaca, Guatemala, and Peru, indigenous farmers continued growing small plots hidden from colonial authorities. They called it by new names to avoid detection. They incorporated it into Catholic festivals to disguise its pagan origins. The knowledge survived in whispers, in family gardens, in seeds passed from grandmother to granddaughter. For 400 years, amaranth existed in agricultural exile. No research, no development, no recognition. Just quiet persistence in places conquistadors never fully controlled. Then, in 1972, Australian scientist John Downton published a paper that triggered global rediscovery. He had analysed amaranth seeds and found something remarkable. Protein content between 14 and 18% by dry weight rivaled meat, but the amino acid profile was what stunned researchers. Most plant proteins lack lysine, the amino acid essential for human growth and tissue repair. Grains like wheat and rice contain so little lysine that populations depending on them suffer chronic protein deficiency. Amaranth contains abundant lysine. Combined with its other amino acids, amaranth provides complete protein comparable to animal sources. In 1977, the National Academy of Sciences published a landmark report recommending amaranth as a solution to global malnutrition. They called it one of the most promising crops for the developing world. The report noted that amaranth required minimal water, tolerated poor soil, and produced yields comparable to conventional grains under harsh conditions. The numbers were staggering. Calcium content at 4 times the level of wheat, iron at twice the concentration of spinach, fiber exceeding most whole grains. Squalene, a compound typically extracted from shark liver for premium cosmetics, appeared in amaranth oil at concentrations that made synthetic production obsolete. In 2009, researchers at the Institute of Genetics in the Czech Republic completed a comprehensive nutritional analysis. Amaranth scored higher than quinoa for protein quality, higher than buckwheat for mineral content, higher than oats for digestibility. A single seed outperformed every trendy superfood combined. So why is amaranth not in every grocery store? Why does the average American not recognize its name? The answer is industrial agriculture's fundamental incompatibility with crops it cannot control. Amaranth grows between 6 and 8 feet tall. It does not mature uniformly. Some seed heads ripen, while others remain green. Mechanical harvesters designed for wheat and corn cannot handle this variability. They lose half the seeds or crush them entirely. The global grain industry has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure optimized for wheat, corn, rice, and soybeans. Silos, combines, processing plants, shipping networks, all calibrated for crops that behave predictably. Amaranth refuses to behave. Worse, amaranth reseeds itself aggressively. Seeds remain viable in soil for decades. A single plant produces between 100,000 and 500,000 seeds annually. Once established, amaranth returns year after year without replanting. You cannot force farmers to buy new seeds annually when the crop provides its own forever. The seed industry generates over $60 billion annually, selling patented varieties that farmers must repurchase every season. Hybrid corn, proprietary soybeans, licensed wheat strains. The entire business model depends on biological dependency. Amaranth represents biological independence. It had to be ignored. Today, agricultural extension programs rarely mention amaranth. University research receives minimal funding. The USDA publishes almost nothing about cultivation techniques for American farmers. A crop endorsed by the National Academy of Sciences in 1977 remains virtually invisible in official guidance 50 years later. Meanwhile, wild amaranth grows across America. We call it pigweed. We spend billions on herbicides to destroy it. The same genus that fed empires, that conquistadors killed to suppress, that contains more complete nutrition than almost any cultivated grain, grows in every disturbed field and roadside across the continent. We poison it because we forgot what it was. The biological impossibility of amaranth lies in its photosynthetic pathway. Most plants use a system called C3 photosynthesis, which struggles in heat and drought. Amaranth uses C4 photosynthesis, the same system that makes corn so productive. But unlike corn, amaranth requires almost no water to achieve maximum efficiency. Drought. Tolerance tests show amaranth producing viable yields on rainfall levels that kill conventional crops. Heat tolerance extends beyond 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Salt tolerance allows growth in soils contaminated by irrigation runoff. The plant seems engineered for climate collapse. Identifying amaranth is simple. Look for tall plants with broad leaves and dense, drooping seed heads that can reach 2 feet long. Colors range from green to deep purple and red. The seeds are tiny, smaller than poppy seeds, pale-colored and slightly shiny. Wild species grow everywhere. Cultivated varieties appear in health food stores and international markets. Growing amaranth requires almost nothing. Scatter seeds on bare soil after last frost. Thin seedlings to 18 inches apart. Wait, the plant handles everything else. Harvest when seed heads dry on the stalk, typically 3 to 4 months after planting. Shake heads into a bucket, winnow away the chaff, store dry seeds indefinitely. Cook amaranth, like rice but with more water. 3 cups liquid to 1 cup grain. Simmer for 20 minutes until porridge consistency. Pop dried seeds in a hot dry pan for a crunchy topping. Grind into flour for baking. Mix with honey as the Aztecs did, though skip the blood. We did not lose amaranth. Conquistadores tried to burn it from existence. Colonial authorities made cultivation a capital crime. Industrial agriculture buried it under crops that create dependency, but the seeds survived. They grew wild in fields and roadsides, hiding in plain sight, carrying complete protein in every tiny grain. 500 years of suppression failed. The crop the Spanish tried to erase still grows across the Americas. The seed that fed empires before Columbus still contains more nutrition than the grains that replaced it. The plant that was worth more than gold still costs almost nothing to grow. Every garden planted with amaranth is a small rebellion against 5 centuries of erasure. Every seed saved continues a chain of resistance that stretches back to hidden mountain gardens where grandmothers defied colonial law. Every meal made from amaranth is nutrition that cannot be taxed, patented, or controlled. They made it a crime to grow. It grew anyway. It is still growing. The only question is whether you will remember. If this root revealed something for you, subscribe to Recession Roots and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase from history. The next root breaks ground soon.